Let me tell you something. Because in the entire state of Missouri, only 36% of the kids read at grade level by 3rd grade. So the rest of the state is a whopping 2.2% better. Whoop-dee-doo. After World War I, the United States led all countries on earth in the number of people who had post-high school certificates of degrees. Now, we're like 38th in the world. We're starting to slide the wrong way. Now, keep this in mind too. I told you about Kansas City. I told you about the rest of the state. The country, Missouri's 1% better than the rest of the country on average. The good news is we're 2% better than Kansas. We cannot ignore those things. It doesn't matter if you think it's your problem or not. Think of it like this. The people we're trying to teach to read now are going to be responsible for whether or not you have Medicare, Medicaid. They may be making decisions on where to put you in the nursing home. You would at least like to know that they had enough sense and ability to read the contracts. You would at least like to know that they have enough ability to be gainfully employed throughout their life to pay taxes that you're going to rely on when you're older than me. And don't think that's a forever thing, because you're going to look back one day and say, wow, I remember when that guy was saying that when I was back here in high school at Boys State. And it won't be that long. We cannot shuffle off and kick the cans of big major issues down the road. We simply can't do it. It is immoral to not address some of the issues in cities in this country. Absolutely immoral. But even if you can't get past, or you do get past, the issue of morality of some of these issues, look at it from the economic side. Economics tells us that a person who graduates high school is going to make, on average, at least $500,000 over their lifetime more than a person who doesn't. A person who does not graduate from high school will consume more social services than a person who does. The more education you have, the less likely you are able or are ever going to be of being off work or laid off work for any significant period of time in your life. PhDs and master's degree candidates seldom are engaged in gunfights on street corners, but people without high school educations frequently find themselves in those circumstances and ultimately in prison. We spend $6 billion at least on prison. We spend 1/5 of that on early childhood education. Now you tell me, where is the best investment? And if we know that by investing early while the stock is young and nurturing it up so that it pays off is going to give us the best dividend, then aren't we kind of bass-backwards on how we're spending money here? Yeah. Stowers Institute for Medical Research calls Kansas City homes extremely technical. I talk to them a lot. They tell me they are having extreme difficulty finding the people they need with the skills they need to do the work that they're trying to do. STEM issues are real. STEM issues are real in part because reading issues are real. If you can't compete in this world at this level now, What do you think it's going to be like to try to compete in this world as technology explodes over the next 20 years if you don't have an educational foundation? So in order to try to address that, we created a program we called Turn the Page Kansas City. Turn the Page Kansas City is an umbrella organization. We are an organization that works with about 50 partners, local school districts. Kansas City has 14 school districts located within the city limits, either in whole or in part, with after-school organizations and coordinators, all sorts of different reading groups, etc. And we work as a partnership to achieve one very focused goal: to get every child in Kansas City reading a grade level by the time they leave 3rd grade. Every single one we can get our hands on. We don't have to go through the school districts, and we don't have to change the way boards are made up. We don't have to argue about vouchers or transfer rules or any of that. All we need to do is get volunteers to come and work with children every day, as many as possible, to ensure that they are able to read and thereby compete and graduate from high school. One of the main functions of Turn the Page Kansas City is to collect the data that we have to show the baseline. Where is everybody? And we need to do that so that as we are following children around through the identification process and determining what programs they're accessing or not accessing, find out which ones work, which ones don't. Scale up the ones that work, get rid of the ones that don't, and create as much synergy on this issue as possible. So we received about $100,000 recently in grant money for the purpose of gathering data in a discrete area. Last summer, we set up reading sites where volunteers, on an 8-week program, 3,700 volunteers put in 9,700 hours at 30 different sites and worked with 2,443 different children. This year, we're going to try to double those numbers. It's a unique and different idea, but it's an idea whose time has come, not just here, but in other places in the country. Things are happening in the cities, gentlemen. You mayors who are sworn in, the rubber meets the road in politics these days in the city. I don't want to have to be unnecessarily critical of Congress or of state legislatures or all of that. I'll leave that out, but here's the bottom line. They're not functioning at their peak. And because of that, they're not doing things that we at the city level would prefer that they do. And because of that, we are having to do a lot more with a lot less. And where innovation takes place, we're able to get that done. See, we don't have the luxury of being removed from our place of living for an extended period of time while we make decisions and debate issues and walk into a grocery store in your district, nobody knows you. I go into the grocery store, people know me. And they want to know when their streets are getting fixed, when the snow is getting plowed, why the trash wasn't picked up, how come we're spending money over here and not over there. You can't hide. We have to deal with it. And that's why cities are innovating and moving things along. If you want to see government work at its finest, stick with the cities. You mayors who are mayors of your cities, take advantage of that. This is the place where you have the opportunity to be innovative, to be entrepreneurial, to actually do things a little differently to get things done. I am not, thank you, that's not necessary, but thank you. You have to be willing to fail if you're going to be an innovative and entrepreneurial leader, because you are going to fail. Nothing is perfect. But if you are afraid to fail, then you will be afraid to try. And if you are afraid to try, then you won't. You'll simply do the same things over and over and over and somehow expect a different result, which is the absolute definition of insanity. As mayor and in our office, in our administration, we try to do things differently. Our office was one of the top 5 social media savvy offices in the country. Not our vote by some tech people who watch that kind of stuff. Now, why is that important? Because we use our social media to stay in touch with our citizens. We have conversations about all sorts of stuff. Some of it is government, some of it's not, some of it is smart, some of it is just flat out stupid, but we have those conversations. Time magazine voted me as the 5th most innovative mayor in the country. Not because of what I'm doing, but because of my staff and what they're doing and helping me to do. We are innovating because we have to. I don't have any desire to be a lifelong or typical politician. I don't want to be a person who is afraid to tackle tough issues. I'm not making decisions because I want to be reelected. I'm making decisions because they are in the best interest of the city, and they are right. And I'm doing it in collaboration with the other stakeholders in the city to make sure that they have a voice in doing it.